Hello and welcome to a very bright video and a very different video. I've mentioned this in the past, but briefly. So basically, on my YouTube channel, I basically just do what I enjoy. And recently, and not so recently because it's been such a long time, it was making, uh, showing off old music basically, but just by posting it. And that actually, at this point, that was literal actual months ago. I just made so many that it took me to basically yesterday. And I'm also recording this well in advance. Well, not well in advance, but it is the 14th, and this will be uploaded on the 26th, most likely. So, yeah, I decided I want to do something different, and that different is not talking about Bayonetta, because we're going to be talking about the manual of Bayonetta. And also, we'll hear when not admire that beautiful disc art. That is one thing I actually miss a lot about Switch games. You don't really get to see that. Well, it is there, but just much smaller. But also, since we're kind of just talking about, also, I'm really sorry for that glare, but we'll work around it. So, yeah, since we're talking about the manual, may as well talk about the box as well. We're not talking about the game. I mean, I love Bayonetta, but I still haven't beaten it yet. But yeah, Bayonetta's non-stop action leaves us with racing pulses. Thank you, Game Informer. And also, if you didn't know, I'm Canadian, so that's kind of, I don't know if that's a requirement or if it's just, hey, we speak two languages, we'll put two languages on the box. But yeah, pretty kind of basic. It is cool how on the front you have Bayonetta, and then on the back she's facing away from you. Obviously, it's not the same pose, but that's kind of neat. Sega game, Best of E3. I'm not really here to talk about the box, but we're talking about the accoutrements of the game, basically. So, and here is the manual, and I guess just talking about manuals in general for a second here. They're kind of gone. They've been gone for a while. Uh, this is I want to say the seventh generation. I forget the numbers. Yeah, I think it's because this is the ninth or 10th or anyway. Yeah, they've basically been gone since the Wii U era, and you don't really see them too much anymore. Basically, unless you get a collector's edition, you're not getting a physical manual at all. And some, honestly, mostly indie games at this point have digital manuals, which are still cool. Like, obviously, I feel a lot less people are going to look at a physical or a digital manual compared to a physical manual. But it is cool how indie developers are still kind of like have that love, and even some bigger games do. But for this series, unless there's one that I really want to talk about, which just thinking off the top of my head, there are. These are going to be actual physical manuals that I own, and that's why we're definitely starting with a physical one. Also, I don't know how many of these I'm going to do, but I'm just gonna talk about them until I feel like it. So onto this specific manual. Like I said, this is the box art, literally the exact same except for on the box you have that online interactions not rated by ESRB. That's not on the manual, which is kind of interesting. But other than that, it's literally the exact same. Not that you would expect anything else. Also, I just noticed that it doesn't have the NTSC logo either. I guess that's just to make it so English manuals can all stay the same. And on the back, you can see there's a advert for Aliens versus Predator. I'm not a big Xbox guy. I mean, Bayonetta is on Switch, so I just have this version physically, and I don't even have it on Switch. I have it on a Wii U because I'm cool like that. Joking, of course. But yeah, nothing really too interesting. Just information on that game, basically. You wouldn't be laughed at for thinking that it's a manual for Alien versus Predator, other than the orientation and I guess the rating pending. So now going into it, this this generation of games was definitely the decline, and it's just proof here. It's in black and white, which is kind of stinky. But yeah, it's still. Other than that, I actually think this is a pretty good manual. I haven't looked at it thoroughly before this, but I obviously still have looked at it. So, just a little blurb here. Thank you for purchasing Bayonetta, trademark. Please note that this software is designed to be for use with the Xbox 360 video game and entertainment system from Microsoft. The camera is focusing. Camera is focusing. Be sure to read the software manual thoroughly before you start playing. I didn't do that. I didn't even. That's kind of funny. But yeah, there's definitely effort into this. You can see a table of contents. That's a little blurb. It's kind of interesting how they mention it's for Xbox 360. I guess it makes sense because Xbox was still a thing. I think this game released in 2009. I'm gonna just check here. Adobe. I might not find it. I'm not seeing it. I'm just gonna say 2009 and hope that I'm not yelled at. Yeah. Probably wrong about that, but so yeah, obviously this is kind of like just not just manuals, but any book is just kind of the blah blah information, specifically video game version, because health and safety, which is I'd say important for this game. There's kind of a lot going on, and just looking at the table of contents, as you can see, this is pretty thick, which just for Canadian manuals in general, you'd expect, because here there's only 21 pages because the French one starts on page 21. Actually, might as well be 20 pages because that last one is warranty as well. So I'll just read this off. Might as well. 20 years ago, from a coffin submerged beneath a gloomy lake, a mysterious woman awoke. Unable to recall her past or even her own name, only a single memory of her unknown origin was left impressed upon her. The horrifying witch's power to summon forth ferocious demons and annihilate the servants of heaven. Returning to life in the modern world after centuries of absence, Bayonetta followed the cues of her hazy memories, eventually reaching the remote European city of Vigrid, unimpeded by countless legions of angels assailing her, fateful meetings drawing out lost memories, what lies ahead, and wait for Bayonetta. And that's pretty cool. Normally, because just a little bit of history, like NES, even Super Nintendo games to some degree, and obviously before then, had the story in the manual because most games just, specifically early NES games, just couldn't fit the story into the game. So I'll stop reading off the stuff, but here's a little bio of Bayonetta, Janine, and Luca, and there's Enzo in the corner, and Rodin don't have descriptions. And also just talking in general, I don't know if there's a manual for this for the Wii U version. I know there isn't for the Switch version because I think it's digital only. I can't remember if they released it physically, but I don't know if there is a manual for the Wii U one. I think some Wii U games had manuals, some didn't. I don't have that many physical Wii U games, but yeah, here's kind of the controls, kind of like what's going on, here's what the controls are, here's some specific scenarios, and just looking at this here, this looks like it was intended to be made in color, and it just wasn't. Here's some more. I'll try and see. These are kind of like hard to get a read on, even ignoring my camera's lack of focus, which is just my phone, by the way. But yeah, these are just kind of Bayonetta moves, the bigger stuff, torture attacks, which is the Wicked Weave, Infernal Demons, etc. There's not going to be really any spoilers in here because, it's the manual, but then here's your classic getting started, which is just still basic game stuff, menus, checkpoints, saving, difficulty, that kind of stuff. Then options. Screen display. This is definitely not one of my favorite game manuals, but it's still, considering the era and considering I just like Bayonetta, I think this isn't too bad. It gives you like a pretty good chunk of information on the game. I just really do wish it was in color. And here are the gates of hell. No, aka buy shop stuff. You know, your guns. And as you can see, now you can see we're on page 15, so we're kind of getting to the end. You have some techniques, you know, the air dodge, stiletto, heel slide. Some enemies. Obviously, not going to show everything. Then here's some survival tips. That's pretty cool. Just some survival stuff, you know. Game over, what to do if you're stuck in the same area, how to take advantage of witch time, the dodging offset, and then here's like your results, basically, you know, how you're graded on each section of the game. I don't want to use the word level, but I guess that is what they are. Chapter, but there's sub chapters. They're just not called sub chapters. Anyway, now there's the general stuff. Connect to Xbox Live, family settings. That's very interesting. Just because, you know, this is an M-rated game. I feel like they probably copy paste this from other Xbox manuals, but still, you think you'd want this either not in here at all because, you know, it's Bayonetta, it's an M-rated game, or you'd want this at the front of the manual, but you can't open the game in the store. So yeah, general stuff, you know, achievements. Oh, and then I guess this is specific because it mentions the Umber and Tears of Blood, but these could still be copied, I suppose. And then limited warranty, no one cares about that. And then here it's literally the exact same thing, but in French because we're Canadian. Also, I guess I'm misremembering. No, I'm not misremembering. There's a notes section, which the game manual at this point is antiquated. But what's extra kind of antiquated to me is the notes section because, well, first of all, one, you can't really write notes too well in these kind of manuals. You can with pen, but if you're not a permanent manual ruiner, then you're basically out of luck for wanting to write in these. Two, there's no lines on it, which is just kind of weird. I guess if you want to draw a picture of Bayonetta in your Bayonetta manual notes. And then the third thing is just the internet was basically in full swing by now. Why not just go on game FAQs? So, because, you know, these are from, you know, your Zeldas, your classic Marios. You write things that would actually, like, this is, instead of writing on a piece of paper, go to your manual and write down things that you notice, which the manual is normally full of things that the game makers want you to know. But in here, it's just kind of weird because I feel like Bayonetta is not really a game you need to write notes on, and also, obviously, why do you have this in a game that was made in what I remember is 2009? Like I said, it still could be wrong about it, but you get the point about the general area of time. But yeah, this video was longer than I thought for just talking about Bayonetta manual. I mean, I did give some history, some rambling, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. And I hope you like this video, because at the very least, I plan on making a few more, I guess, manual reviews. I plan on calling this series What's in a Manual, because that's kind of silly, fun. But yeah, that's all.